Recently, This is America and the World visited the Republic of Uzbekistan. It's a beautiful country, rich in Silk Road history and culture, the crossroads of civilization where East meets West, and 300 days of sunshine a year. It's an important country in Central Asia. Borders are open with neighboring countries. There's new construction everywhere, and freedom of speech, religion, and the press are all front and center. Today, under the leadership of its president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, it's a country on the move. They call it the new Uzbekistan. It's a young country, this year celebrating its 30th anniversary of independence from the Soviet Union, with a young population, 35 million people, 60% under 30 years old. The people of Uzbekistan are friendly and welcoming, and their gesture of hello, goodbye, with the hand over the heart, says it all. On this program, we'll look at human rights in Uzbekistan. Under the Soviet Union, they didn't exist, and even in its 30 years of independence, progress has been slow. However, over the past 4 years, major reforms in human rights are underway. This is America and the World visits the Republic of Uzbekistan. Underwriting for This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotendaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy. Reforms are front and center under the leadership of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The Minister of Justice tells us about dramatic changes in today's Uzbekistan.
This is 2021, 30 years of independence for Uzbekistan. How is justice changing? Old Uzbekistan, new Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan, after becoming an independent state, has been trying to set up a new environment for people so that they can feel their freedom, they can, explore and live freely in a free society. But it wasn't always an easy task. It's not an easy task, actually. And we've had many problems regarding the justice system. Of course, we still have many issues regarding the justice system, so that we are constantly working on improving the justice sector. I'll give you one figure. For last 20 years, before the 2016 or 2017, the courts didn't have almost any acquittals in the criminal proceedings. So if you are brought before the court, the criminal court, you are, almost 100% that you will be held liable for your actions, and justice system just rubber stamp the decisions made by the prosecutors or other law enforcement bodies. But now, if you look at the figures, 1,000 acquittals each year. The courts just acquit people when the case is brought before them. It means that the justice is becoming independent. Justice is taking just decisions, so that people can, have their advocates, legal representation, and then they can win the case. This is also a new phenomenon for Uzbekistan. Of course, as a Western educated state official in Uzbekistan, I know that this is something really very bizarre for Western countries, but in Uzbekistan it's a new phenomenon. Used to be like that, no acquittals. Now the system is changing. People are suing the state authorities, and yes, and the new administrative courts have been set up for this particular purpose, so that people can have access to justice, and then they can sue the state authorities. It's also a new phenomenon.
What are some other examples of reforms under the justice system that have been made?
When the president came to his office, he started reforming all the spheres. And you can look at the figures about the acts of legislation. 20% of the whole legislative framework that we have at this moment have been passed for the last 4 to 5 years. 20%. If you compare starting from the Independence Day. So it's a huge work is being done to reform all the spheres of life. And you know, no reforms can be done without drafting a new piece of legislation. As acts of parliament, acts of president, acts of government, thousands of them each year. And it's not an easy process just to draft a legislation, and then because the main issue is implementation and proper enforcement of these acts of legislation. So the president set up a new state program with 5 pillars. First is the reforms of public administration. So the concept of new administrative reforms have been passed. This concept has been passed and it's been implemented at this moment. Second is social sector, economic sector, justice system, and then the fifth is mutually beneficial international cooperation and inter-ethnic harmony within the Uzbekistan.
Did all of those areas need reforms?
Of course, of course.
Of course.
Of course. If you look at any of the spheres that I just mentioned, they all needed a big reshuffle and big reforms. And look at the parliaments performing at the moment. Parliament has become a really true subject which is asking questions from the government.
So does the average person feel these reforms taking hold?
Of course. If you look at the people's behavior, I mean the way they act, the way they have dialogue with state authorities, it has changed. People have become more demanding, and they're expressing their rights of freedom of expression, and media has become really different, and they're using their rights to ask hard questions from the government officials, including the justice sector, economic sector, and the social media has become a really big power, I would say, and it has become a really very effective platform for raising questions and asking questions, and the government is reacting to this, and it's now a compulsory for every government official, for every government organization to have representation in social media. Yes, so that they should answer the questions of people.
So you have just mentioned, and I wanted to talk with you about freedom of expression, as you say, freedom of protest, freedom of speech, freedom of the journalists are free now, much different. Is it fair to say that in the old days it was oppression, repression?
If you ask this question, anybody on the territory of Uzbekistan, be it professional, be it layman, they will answer that old days it wasn't very easy to talk about hard topics. Now it's different.
What do you see as your greatest challenge right now?
As a Minister of Justice, of course, we do have our own priorities. As the biggest challenge in Uzbekistan at this moment is it's the issue of rule of law. So that we have to work a lot to improve the situation with the rule of law. We have done a lot on this. The courts becoming more independent, the people are demanding, I mean, civil society is on the rise, and the way that we take decisions has changed because it's more democratic. We consult with the wider public, and we publish our draft legislation so that people can give their own ideas, and there's criticism of the government by the whole public and the parliament as well.
Yeah.
So you see the situation is really changing, and rule of law is a concept that can hold society together and will be a guarantee for further development. Without a really big, high standards of rule of law, Uzbekistan cannot make it in the future as a competitive state. And we do understand that, and this is our priority to work on the rule of law as a Minister of Justice.
Minister, thank you so much for our conversation. Thank you for the education.
One of the most successful television stations in Uzbekistan is Sevenly. Its owner is also president of the National Association of Electronic Media.
Let's talk a little bit about journalism. People get most of their news and information from radio and television. Is that correct?
Так.
How free are the journalists to report what's going on?
Журналистика у нас.
One of the biggest achievements of modern Uzbekistan is the freedom of journalism in our country, and journalists are allowed to receive information, any information, distribute information. They're free in these actions. It's one of the biggest achievements for the last 4 years.
When they talk about a new Uzbekistan and an old Uzbekistan, what was old Uzbekistan like for a journalist?
Были
So the self-censoring was the hardest point in this, the most bottleneck point.
потому что
The Soviet Union background was creating some pressure in journalism.
прошлое. Мы не могли.
We couldn't get rid of that past, Soviet Union past.
You've been in television and radio for years here. There's a dramatic change from the old to the new, is that correct?
Я вам приведу примеры.
I will give you the example regarding activity of our association.
К примеру,
During 25 years, we were trying to establish a big TV channels for broadcasting in all regions of our country.
но власти нам это не
But
давали.
the government was creating some obstacles.
Мы получали
We were receiving refuses and so on.
после
And in 2017, we have sent our information and request to the head of our government, to the president, and provided him information about our projects. We had 4 projects on establishing big TV channels at the Republican level. And the president allowed us because it is allowed by the legislation of Republic of Uzbekistan.
и хочу
So
сказать,
these
что
are the priority is clear. We have 5 non-governmental TV channels and 1 state channel.
Your association is involved in electronic mass media. How important is social media to the distribution of news and information?
это очень
So
важно.
the social mass media, the new mass media are being rapidly developed in the world, not only in Uzbekistan, and are one of the main tools of distributing information.
Are the people who are using the social media, do they feel free to say what they want?
Абсолютно.
Absolutely.
But if I understand correctly, you say that journalists for television, radio, and people on social media are free to criticize the government if they choose?
Да, абсолютно.
Absolutely, they are free.
Thank you. Thank you for our conversation.
Спасибо большое за
Thank you for
беседу.
the education.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you're doing for your fellow countrymen here in Uzbekistan.
Я тоже хочу вас
And we also would like to thank you for your interest to our country and to our association too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Спасибо.
Enlightened, moderate, and tolerant Islam shapes the cultural values of Uzbekistan, where the Center for Islamic Civilizations is now under construction. I spoke with its director.
Doctor, thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you for your visit. Biz juda katta
We are constructing the Center of Islamic Civilization in Uzbekistan at the initiative of the President Shavkat Mirziyoyev.
So the building now is, we see, in progress.
yes.
How long has it been in progress and when will it be finished?
22.
2022.
Yes.
And what will happen in the building?
Demek ki
The building, the center, could be divided into 4 parts. The first floor will consist of the Museum of the Islamic Civilization. And there will be an exposition hall consisting of 16,000 square meters. And the museum itself will be divided into 9 departments. And in this first floor, there will also be a conference hall or a congress hall. And we hope that the summits, the meetings of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will be organized right here, together with other international events.
Davletov.
And the second floor will consist of a library, and this library will include approximately 100,000 manuscripts, along with 100,000 published books. And there will also be a database of over 1 million electronic books. On the second floor, there will be located International Islamic Academy as well. The International Islamic Academy was established at the initiative of the President of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, and its main activity and operation is to train specialists in the field of Islamic theology.
So it will also be a major tourist attraction, huh?
Yes, that's right. The pilgrimage tourism is being promoted right now in Uzbekistan, and our center will be one of the destinations of such tourism.
You have to be very proud of this center, huh?
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your visit and for your interest.
Thank you.
I met with the Vice Rector at the University of World Economy and Diplomacy, which is a training ground for many future diplomats and government leaders. She's also a member of the Central Election Commission, so we talked about the upcoming national election in October.
The President will have an election in the fall season in October, I think it is.
In October.
And you're a part of the Election Commission?
I am.
So what job do you have as far as the election is concerned?
You know, it will be a very important year this year. So we have the Central Election Commission. It's an independent state organ which is formed by the Parliament, Oli Majlis of the Republic of Uzbekistan. What is the main idea of the Central Election Commission is to organize and to conduct the elections in the Republic of Uzbekistan. And what is the main goal of Central Election Commission? It's fair and free elections in Uzbekistan.
People back home in America look at the election result and they see that, especially in this part of the world, that the president wins by 93% or 86%. They look and they say, well, that's pretty odd. Is it fair and is it free? Explain why that happens.
What we can say on the last elections that was held in 2019, that they were open and transparent. That was the main idea of the elections of 2019. So this is the choice of each citizen to make their own choice and to give their voice for the candidate they prefer to see next 5 years. It is the course of the policy which will be taken under this president. So we can say that the rate of the voice, that means the belief in this person, that means the trust to this person, that means the people want some changes in their lives, people are supporting his reforms.
In the long term, for the president's vision and for the country, do you see an American-style democracy as a goal?
You know, as in my mind, I think democracy should be understood as it is in its meaning. If we refer to our constitution, the Article 7, it says that the sole resource of the state is its population. So democracy is the power of the population, is the representative of the people who want to make some changes. We can see it from through the elections, elections of the deputies, of the local deputies, of the president, and through the involvement into the process of self-government authorities. We have this traditional institution of civil society, mahalla.
So you can say democracy is alive and well in Uzbekistan?
It is. And I cannot say that the American democracy, you understand it the other way. It's the same, we understand it the same way. Let's see the examples. We are open to the world.
And the people are satisfied?
I can say from myself, because I'm the representative of these people, we are satisfied. If you see, what do we wait for from the government, from the state, from the policy? We, as a people, we want to live happy. So this is the, you can say that it is the high rate of happiness among the ordinary people. This is the main idea, the quality of the life of ordinary people, the fighting against corruption, the human rights, the rule of law. This is the democracy. This is democracy in Uzbekistan. You know, it is your first time to Uzbekistan, but I can say if we met 5 years ago, maybe this discussion might not have happened.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were very fortunate to have an outstanding team from the National Television and Radio Company to handle all of our production needs in Uzbekistan. I had the opportunity to meet and thank the company's chairman, who also began my tour of its headquarters.
What a great honor. Thank you for your hospitality and your wonderful crew.
O'zbeklar da aytgandek xush kelibsiz O'zbekistonimizga, xush kelibsiz Milliy televiziya kompaniyamizga.
Welcome to the National TV and Radio.
Rahmat. Rahmat. Rahmat.
Thank you.
Agarda
Whoa. This is a vast complex, huh?
Yes, it's quite big.
Hotel accommodations provided by the Hilton, Tashkent City. For information about This is America in the World, visit our website, thisisamerica.net, or our YouTube channel, This is America TV, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Underwriting for This is America in the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotendaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy.